We're on.
Yep.
Okay, this is opening the city council meeting. We're opening the city
Yep.
council meeting for March 1st. Okay, 2022. City clerk. Opening the
Yes, and I'll take the roll.
city council
Councilmember
meeting.
Ward,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
We're
Here.
opening the
Mayor
city council
James.
meeting
Here.
for
and
March
council members
1st.
Ferguson and
Okay,
Noblock are
22.
absent.
And no public speaker, no public comments.
No, sir.
May I have a motion to recess into closed session?
So move.
Second.
Please.
Going to wait on the vote. We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Duncan, second by Councilmember Ward to recess to closed session.
And let the record reflect Councilmember Noblock is here at 5:05 and he's present.
Councilmember Noblock,
Yes.
to recess to closed
Recess to closed
session.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye,
Carries 4-0.
thank you. PM. This is the March 1st, 2022 City Council meeting. It's Fat Tuesday. Tomorrow is Ash Wednesday. Welcome everyone. City Clerk.
Yes. I'll take the roll. Councilmember Ferguson,
Here.
Councilmember Noblock, Councilmember Ward,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Here.
and Mayor James.
Here.
First item on the agenda is the invocation to be given by Deacon Carl Swanson of Our Lady of Fatima Church.
Can we stand, please?
Almighty and ever living God, Yahweh, Allah. We thank you for the many blessings, seen and unseen, known and unknown, that you have bestowed upon our city of San Clemente. We humbly ask you to send your spirit upon the elected members of this council to guide and strengthen them as they strive to serve your people. Bless all the citizens of the city. And we humbly implore you to bring peace and an end to the violence and destruction in the Ukraine. Amen.
Thank you, Deacon. And if we can just have a moment of silence for those freedom fighters in the Ukraine. Thank you. Pledge allegiance. Deputy, can you lead us in pledge allegiance, please?
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Deputy.
Okay, first item on the agenda is presentation of a city tile to Lisa Ornelas, payroll coordinator, in recognition of her retirement after 33 years of exemplary service to the city of San Clemente.
I do. My husband Raymond.
Raymond, come on up here. Right? You've been part of this for how many years?
All of them.
All of them. So this is in recognition of your 33 years. You started when you were 8, 9. You know, I think it's a testament to how much the city employees love you by looking at the number of compadres you have here this evening. And they're, you know, it's bittersweet for you, it's bittersweet for them, and just wish you nothing but all the best going into the future. You gonna start a second career? Yeah. Or do you want her to come back? You know, there's this saying, for better or worse, but not for lunch. I don't know. Lisa, what do you have to say, please?
Just thank you. I've been an honor to service the city. Because the employees are my customers. That's who I've done the payroll for all these years, and I've taken care of them in good times and bad. And so I'm very grateful. There's several here to enjoy this with me. Very much appreciated.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Council members, come on in. Yes, you, Raymond. There you go. It's yours.
Congratulations. Oh.
Okay. And we're gonna play a video for you, Lisa, at this point. I'm not gonna say it's one you're gonna like, but they have one for you.
This is your life.
All right, Lisa O, I just want to say congratulations on your retirement. Over the years, the last 33 years, I just want to thank you for your dedication and your hard work for the city on behalf of all its employees and citizens. So thank you for taking care of all the employees over the last 33 years, in the good times and the bad times, when they had babies or when they might have had surgery. Again, thank you for your dedication. And I wish you the best in retirement and hope you have a great time with your family and your granddaughter in your retirement. Thanks. Bye.
Hi Lisa, this is the UB group, but as you know, Lucy's not here anymore, but if she were, she'd have a lot more to say. Congratulations.
Happy retirement, Lisa. Congratulations.
Hey Lisa, on behalf of the HR team, congratulations on your 33 years of service. We work so closely and we've always benefited from your expertise and knowledge. In fact, I don't think there's a question we've had that you didn't have the answer for. But work isn't all about work, it's about the relationships we develop day to day. So thank you for your friendship and happy retirement!
Okay, so I'm really nervous and my heart's beating really fast, but okay, deep breath. Okay, so I'd like to thank the Academy for...
Oh no, this is for Lisa's retirement.
Lisa's retirement, what? I'm just kidding. Lisa, I just wanted to make you laugh because you always make me laugh, and just to tell you how much I wish you a happy retirement. You deserve it. You've earned it. We are going to miss you like crazy. We love you. Enjoy.
Hi, Lisa. Congratulations. Here's you today on March 1st, and here's you on March 4th, the day after you retire, just walking around, enjoying life because you've earned it. All right, we love you. Take care.
Hi, Lisa. Well, you made it to this special day. You're taking that step into the next chapter and probably the most relaxed chapter of your life. I want to thank you for all your help, guidance, and support over the past few years. I've learned a lot from you, and I wasn't really finished, but you're leaving, so I guess I'm out of luck. I just want to let you know that the city was very fortunate to have you, a loyal employee of 33 plus years. Enjoy your time with your family. I wish you nothing but happiness, good health, and good times. To say that you'll be missed is an understatement, Lisa. Let's do lunch.
Lisa, Mother Hen Ornelas, thank you for 33 years of amazing personal service to the City of San Clemente employees as it relates to taking care of every employee's payroll and assisting them through the ups and downs of life. I know that every employee here thinks very, very highly of you and what you've done for them through payroll. And so on behalf of the City of San Clemente, I thank you for your service and I wish you the best of health and longevity in your next chapter of life. So take care.
Hi Lisa, congratulations on your retirement. We will miss you around here. We'll miss all of your good work. You were always the question and the answer. Where's Lisa? What would Lisa do? And of course you always had the answer. So thank you for your years of service, and we know you'll just go on to enjoy your time with your granddaughter. So best of luck to you. Thank you.
Hi Lisa, just wanted to wish you the best in your retirement. We love you, we appreciate you. The last 20 years of working with you have been so much fun, and just want to say I just greatly appreciate you, your friendship, and who you are to all of us. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Lisa. Yay, you did it. So happy for you. I wish you all the best, and just want to let you know that it's been great getting to know you over the years and working with you. I truly appreciate your knowledge and your friendship, and I hope that you stay in touch, and but also have a very rewarding retirement, and have fun and take care of that grandbaby. So yay, congratulations.
I have one question for you. In the event council votes itself a pay raise tonight, will you come back for one day and make sure it's done right? Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
The next item is an update on homeless issue. February update to be provided at the March 15th meeting.
So there is no staff presentation unless there's public comments. We'll be
There
reporting
is
out.
one.
So I have one comment before the public comment. I want to recognize Carly Hunter for her efforts in placing a service resistant, I should say a very, very service resistant individual who had been placed once before. It was back on the street. She was harassing a specific group that we needed to put an end to that. Carly and the deputy that was on the scene that day did an amazing job, and I really appreciate both their efforts. So I just wanted to
thank you for that recognition.
Thank you.
Mayor, before you do that, John, were we going to move up 7A?
I'm going to do that in a moment.
Okay, thank you.
Donna the Dream.
This past week, I went out with a team at night after dark to survey the homeless in San Clemente. I approached a family of 3 living in their car, a young couple in their late 30s who attended school in San Clemente, had previous employment in San Clemente. This family was living in their car. They were reluctant to tell their story because of their 3-year-old in the car with them. The love and concern for their child and each other was a strong message. They lost their home with family illnesses and loss of income. The survey asked about addiction and mental health history and current status. Each person is surveyed separately. Both talked about addiction issues in their past and the challenges they have faced. Both are successfully living without drugs for the past 3 years. They were located on a quiet, dark street in San Clemente and were seeking a safe place until the next morning. They were thankful for the small bags of healthy snacks and small gift cards from fast food restaurants we were able to leave with them after participating in the survey. The point in time count for San Clemente Unsheltered that occurred last week. Driving to a different location in San Clemente, we stopped our car when we saw a woman sleeping on the sidewalk outside a small lighted business. It was dark around her sleeping spot, extremely cold, and my first concern was whether she was sleeping or dead. I assessed first to make sure she was breathing. She was covered with a thin blanket and curled up to be as warm as possible. Again, due to loss of income and disabilities, she was unable to find housing. She attended school in San Clemente, had previous employment in San Clemente, and considered San Clemente her home. She appreciated the concern answered our questions, and was thankful for the small gifts we were able to leave with her for participating in the count. I regret I did not leave with her the gloves and hat I purchased at North Beach at the 7-Eleven a few hours earlier because I was cold. These are just two of the persons we met and talked with. I have been engaged with homeless strategies and ministries for several years now. Spending the few hours in the cold and dark on February 24th in San Clemente, listening to the people, seeing firsthand the hardships of living without shelter or housing was sobering and affected my heart and thoughts in a lasting way.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have any other? So, council, I have two motions to make.
Can I make one comment on the prior item?
Yes,
Quick?
please.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I should have jumped in, but so to build off Mayor James, what you'd said before about Carly's success in placing someone in permanent supportive housing, I think it's just a good reminder that that is the real answer to homelessness. And we need to continue to put pressure on the county to deliver for South Orange County with the resources that are there that haven't materialized yet, so that we can enhance the housing for homeless that are tied to San Clemente. That's the only way we're going to get folks off the street, is if they have housing with services, not just housing, but with those services that enable them to get back on their feet. And if they don't accept the services, if we have the housing, there can be consequences. So I want to make sure everybody remembers that. So just to make that point. Thank you.
If I could follow up
Yes, sir.
on that comment as well. Homelessness is an issue. I'm not sure permanent supportive housing is the answer. Our neighbor to the north, Los Angeles, the amount of money they have resourced for permanent housing and the number of homeless that they've identified, they would have enough to give each homeless person a $5,000 a month stipend for rent for the next 150 or 60 years. So the amount of money that's being poured into permanent supportive housing is gigantic. I'm not sure that's the solution, but obviously temporary housing and other services are vitally important. I just wanted to add
Well,
that.
I'd like to say, at least we should give it a shot down here. We have not given it a shot. And the status quo is not working because our homelessness, as we'll see in the point in time count, I think has stayed steady or increased. So I'd like to see us at least try something different. Thank you.
You know, the only thing I would say is the individual that Carly placed this past week has been placed in permanent supporting housing. Has she been? Excuse me. She has been placed in permanent supportive housing previously and has come back. So, you know, we have that issue once that they're service resistant, and then we get them into some sort of shelter, their inability or lack of desire to stay sheltered. So I have two motions to make. As it relates to item 7A, a public hearing on the site-specific plan, staff is requesting that to be tabled for a later date. City manager, when do you want to bring that back?
We're going to do some more due diligence on that site-specific plan. I don't have a tentative date at this point, but I suspect we'll probably be coming back to the council within the next 2 months.
Okay. Can I have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion. We continue item 7A for 2 months.
Second, please.
Second.
Before you vote, we do have a speaker card. Did you want to hear that?
We'll put that in public comments. Is that
Public comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's coming right up.
Okay.
Can I make a substitute motion without the 2 months? This should come back whenever staff is ready to bring it back. There's no pressing issue of the
With an
site plan.
outside timeframe of 2 months or earlier.
Approximately 2 months.
I'll make a substitute motion that we just follow staff recommendation and direct staff to re-advertise it to a public hearing at a later date. That's my
Councilman Moore,
motion.
where I disagree with you on that is it's out there. It's created some consternation, some concerns. I would like to see it come back. I would like to see it come back in 2 months. and city manager, is that a stretch for you?
No, it shouldn't be a stretch. And if it was a stretch, I would communicate to the council at a future council meeting that I would need more time.
I'll pull my motion.
Thank you.
Okay, so the substitute motion died.
There's no
vote-
substitute motion.
Excuse me?
I pulled it.
You
I
pulled
pulled
it
the
all
motion.
together?
Yes.
Okay, then the motion to continue the item for 2 months. Councilmember Ferguson.
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock.
Aye.
Councilmember Ward.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
Aye.
And Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0.
And then I want to pull item 9B, table it for a future date.
Did you say 9B as in boy?
Yes, withdraw from the Orange County Library System. The staff report we got was I guess 9 years old. There's new data out there, you know, and my concern is purely financial. I'm not going to get into the financials right now because that's going to put us into discussion, and we're pulling it. But anyone can contact me, and I would certainly share with them what those financials are. So I'm making a motion, we pull 9.
That we just table it.
We table 9.
All right, I'll second that motion to table.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock.
Aye.
Councilmember Ward.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
Aye.
And Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0.
Thank you. And so anyone that had an item for either 7A or 9B, please feel free to speak in public comments, which is right now.
Oral communications. Members of the audience who wish to address council on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the city of San Clemente, but not separately listed on the agenda, may do so during the oral communications portion of the meeting. Speakers may address council once during either oral communications part 1 or part 2. A total time limitation of 30 minutes is allocated for oral communications part 1, with each speaker being allotted 3 minutes in which to give his or her presentation. The speakers will be Amanda Kitnia, followed by Donna Vidrine, followed by Mike, no last name, followed by Ruth, no last name.
Hello, council members. I was prepared to speak on the library issue, so I'm kind of a little trying to summarize this really quick. As far as withdrawing from the Orange County Library System, I'm not sure why this is happening. I think the last time it was presented was in 2014. But out of all the services that our city provides throughout the years, the library is an essential part of our community. Library serves the community and should continue to do so. Libraries are a place of learning and information by providing people access to computers. It's a place where people can read and study quietly. Libraries promote literacy, and that is invaluable. Libraries are community hubs. In addition to connecting people to information, libraries connect people to people. They are safe havens for kids when school is not in session, offering after-school homework, help, games, and book clubs. Libraries offer computer classes, enabling older adults stay engaged in a digital world. Mobiles and community outreach programs keep those living in remote areas, well, we're not very remote, or those who are homebound connected to the larger community. Libraries are places of information. When most people think library, they think books. And while this is certainly true, these days books take different shapes, such as ebooks and audiobooks. More than just books, libraries are places of information, offering people free access to wealth information that they often can't find elsewhere, whether online, in print, or in person, whether they're looking for DVDs or the latest bestseller. Health and business information found on the internet base is not accessible at home or going for story times and community program. The library is a center of community for millions of people. And I quoted, "I love libraries" in that. As far as San Gorgonio Park, I'm really glad that it's being delayed, because I really think that we really need to look at the city of San Clemente master plan for beach restrooms, because they haven't been updated according to that plan in 2010. there still hasn't been, I mean, they haven't been ADA compliant. We haven't really been doing our work with that. So that's where I'm really concerned about. It says reviewing the 2010 master plan for restrooms. The style of the restrooms at San Gregorio Park and Maxwell Park are constructed in the same manner of slump block concrete units with wood framing and composite roofs. The color is light beige with brown trim. The interiors are quite utilitarian and have unfinished concrete floors, being painted walls, beige painted walls, and the stalls do not have doors. Fixtures are Pinot style stainless steel. Some have seats, some don't, and especially Maxwell Park, they don't, nor San Gregorio. According to the 2010 master plan, this is a typical of older facilities that were designed for maximum durability and ease of maintenance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor James, the person that you somewhat disrespectfully termed as service resistant, she was offered a spot in permanent supportive housing in Laguna, operated by the Friendship Shelter. And I think that she's been there a week. And I just applaud the permanent supportive shelter in Laguna and Carly and the people that assisted in transferring her from San Clemente to Laguna. What I was going to speak on today and what I will speak on today is hospital for San Clemente with my public comments. San Clemente is a beach town that offers many first-class services such as great schools, trained and equipped fire stations, sheriff services, senior services, doctors, outpatient and urgent care services, but regrettably, no local hospital. Decades ago, our city planners allocated and identified the need and location for a hospital. Over the years, its location has changed and it has been owned and or managed by many different entities or groups. The most recent owners, Memorial Care, bought the hospital with full knowledge that San Clemente residents were in need of this facility for the well-being of its residents. Memorial Care made a promise to the city that it would maintain this hospital, upgrade its technology, and bring in new equipment as needed over the years to come. For some time, Memorial Care upheld its promise to do so in accordance with the city wishes. Then Memorial Care decided that the San Clemente location was not a profitable working business for their portfolio, and thus began the slow but designed and well-engineered demise of our hospital. After years of back and forth negotiations, town hall meetings, and lawsuit, a settlement was agreed upon. Unfortunately, that leaves the residents of San Clemente still without a hospital. The existing property is zoned for a community hospital with an emergency room. This location is supported with neighboring pharmacies, fire station with paramedics, multiple physician office buildings, medical laboratory and imaging services, as well as several physical therapy and chiropractic practices. The infrastructure is there in place on Camino de los Mares, just waiting for the hospital to open. There have been recent discussions on developing on open space property owned by the city and located behind Target on Vista Hermosa. This land is on a fairly steep hillside that could present unknown geological problems and additional cost, ensuring the property in compliance with building codes. San Clemente is known for its strict building codes. The current public health crisis has reinforced the need for hospital care and emergency services for the residents of San Clemente. Thank you.
Next speaker is Mike.
Mayor, City Council members. I want to follow up on a subject I brought up about a month ago. As a homeowner, like most homeowners, I'm facing higher rates for fire insurance, and that is becoming problematic. I took it upon myself to do some research, find out why that is, what can be done about it. And lo and behold, I ran into some problems. So I'm going to ask you guys to help me out. Specifically, our fine city has a natural hazard mitigation plan. I'm looking at one from 2004. I see Laura Ferguson's name on it. impressive steering committee. I also found some research on the internet today that in September, 5 months or so ago, that council directed works to follow up and update our plan, our natural hazard mitigation plan. It's not been done to date, and I would request that we put a little emphasis on that. It is important. We can't really understand why insurance companies are jacking up the rates unless we get a handle on what our natural hazard mitigation plan is, which we can't do at this time. Once we get that, we'll be able to take a look at it and better understand our situation. The frustration I had brought me to a different word, and that is transparency. I think it's great that we focus on issues like homelessness and many other issues in our town, but the number one hazard to San Clemente is a repeat of the fire we had in 76, I believe, 74, in the mid 70s, where 16 homes burned. That is our number one threat in this town. I realize that we have a lot of emphasis on our response from our firefighters, but I also understand that following California Fire Code is not necessarily going to get us out of the insurance issue. We might have to go beyond fire code, which is lagging. I say that as a volunteer firefighter here in California and as a citizen who lost a house in a big wildfire 4 years ago, Northern California. It is a concern for me, and living back here, my old place, San Clemente, finding now that my rates are jacked up is a frustration, as you can imagine. Trying to do a little research as a citizen to smooth through it and understand it and help it out. I ran into a bunch of nothing. So please, let's get that new plan up so that citizens can take a look at it and we can go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And sir,
Mike's worried about fires.
sir, could I ask you to, at some point in time, go in front of the Public Safety Committee and present your concerns to them as well?
I would like to. I noticed there are no citizens on there. They rarely get anyone visit. They've only had 3 visits in the last 4 months. I would like to. However, it's
Yeah,
Public
okay.
Works.
I don't want to get in discussion with you.
Public Works does that plan, not those guys.
I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor,
Yes.
can we ask the city manager what the delay is in updating the plan? Because
Yeah,
council
go-
did
go ahead.
authorize that.
I don't have an update. I'll have to talk to Public Works and get back to the
Okay,
council.
thank you. Ms. Martin.
Mr. Mayor, can I get a clarification? I had planned to have 3 minutes to discuss the master plan park, and I had a 3-minute presentation on a non-master plan park issue. So have I lost my minutes here?
You have 3 minutes to present right now.
I have 2 presentations. One was under 7A and one was under public.
I-
So
I'll
I
give
have
you-
to pick and choose.
Choose which one you
Yes.
want.
All right, gotcha.
Ruth, can you turn the microphone down towards you? There you go.
Okay, all right. Well, talking about Via San Gregorio then. On Saturday, the city did put some red curbs in at the entrance of the park. But as I suspected, unfortunately, it did nothing to solve the overflow parking that went all the way down the street to Vaquero and all the way over to Collie Vista Torito, with pedestrians walking in the middle of the street. This was what was agendized by Ms. Ferguson, Councilmember Ferguson, and the rest of the council back, I think, in November. So the issue still remains safety on Via San Gregorio for pedestrians and quality of life for the residents caused by all of the overflow traffic. In addition, I'm now understanding that the city recommends that there will be skateboarders coming up and down Via San Gregorio. I just want to let you know that way back in 2012, then Council Member LA Council Member Buscaino brought forth a motion after 2 teenagers died while skateboarding down a hill in Averill Park. According to the LA City Attorney's Office, Burbank, Glendale, Santa Barbara, and San Diego prohibit the use of skateboards on public roadways. Moreover, the County of Los Angeles prohibits the use of skateboards on streets, roads, and highways, which have a grade in excess of 3%.
I have sent you all verification that Via San Gorgonio has a grade in excess of 14%. It is also the only street that has an ingress and egress to a park that apparently the city still is recommending we put in a skateboard feature. I tried to send a video, but I was unsuccessful in getting it formatted correctly. A resident previously informed you that he personally witnessed a fatal accident of a 10-year-old boy who was riding down Cali Vista Torita, which is the alternate exit to get down to Vaquero from Via San Gorgonio. He was killed when he collided with a vehicle on Avenida Vaquero. So I request that this city look into an ordinance that prohibits skateboarding, just like those cities in Los Angeles County and also LA County has installed. Finally, I want to thank you. I understand the pickleball fences are going to be installed, I think, in 2 weeks, according to Mr. Sun. I really hope that they're going to give some relief while Steed Park pickleball is getting built. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Next item, could we have a motion to waive reading in full of all resolutions? and
So
ordinances?
moved.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock.
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Are there any items that need to be agendized for immediate action? Okay, then the next item is closed session report from city attorney.
Thanks, Mayor and Council. There was no reportable action taken in closed session. Councilmember Ferguson did not participate in that part of the meeting.
All items listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion without discussion unless council, staff, or the public requests removal of an item for separate discussion and action. I have not received any requests for
Wow.
removal.
Council members?
I have a couple. Item 6C, Warrant Register dated February 18, 22. Top one. And then item 6E, please. Motion to move the balance.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock. Councilmember Ward.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. The next item is the warrant register.
Okay, thank you. Just one page. It's page number for reference of council members. 6C 1-2. On the lower right-hand corner. 6C1.
Laura, what page? I'm sorry.
Mhm. That'd
Did you say
be,
the page?
well, it's the page up right-hand corner, page 1, but down on the bottom footer, it's 6C1-2.
Okay, thanks.
Pertaining to just a couple of questions I have regarding the BBK bills. Best and Krieger is the contract law firm the city utilizes. Is everybody on the page? Oh, thank you. Okay, city attorney, just two questions, two line items. The first one for the TCA 241 extension, the non-litigation. Could you let me know what the $7,921.60 is, considering, the toll road, we're out of the agency, the court ruled, the lawsuits moot. What are we spending money on still?
Mayor and Council, I don't have that invoice with me. I can tell you what our contract covers. Is that what you're looking to know? But I don't have the
You don't know.
detail.
I'd
on
like
those
to know
services.
just what, if you
I
can,
can
follow up
provide
tomorrow
that.
what the line item is, why we're still spending non-litigation fees. I do know, majority council did vote to do the appeal and hire the appellate lawyer for that. And that leads me, in that regard, if the city is successful, does the city win or does BBK win any of the, whatever the award is on that?
The city has an appeal filed in that case. That notice was filed at council request. If the city prevails in the litigation, and whether you prevail is a term of art, then the city has promised BB&K that it can recover those fees.
Okay, so the BBK will receive those funds should. the
Yeah,
city
that's what
prevail.
that's the contract that the council approved
That's
with
above
regard to that
the,
matter.
of the contingency contract we have.
No, that's what the contingency contract provides.
That was 90,000 we paid so far, so that would be beyond that if recoverable.
Yeah, I'll get you
Okay.
the passage from the
That's fine. No,
contract.
I
It's
understand.
pretty
City
clear.
attorney, you can get this to council member
And
Ferguson tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll get
no,
that page of the
It doesn't have
contract.
to be tomorrow.
It's easy.
Next week's fine. Thank you so much, Scott.
Mhm.
And then the other one is titled PRA writ. I have filed a lawsuit back in September trying to recover public records, email communications. And as of last month, you provided a report to council that stated 33,000 had been spent so far to defend that lawsuit, to keep the records from me. Is this $9,246.60 in this line item? Is this in addition to the 33,000 reported a month ago on January 18th?
I don't know which billing cycle this includes or doesn't, so I can get you that info separately.
Okay, okay.
And that
All
you can
right.
get to her tomorrow?
That'd be fine.
Yeah, that'll be easy.
Next
you.
week's fine. I know it's probably, that's fine. I
Okay,
don't need
thank
it
you.
exactly tomorrow, but I appreciate that next week. All right, those were my questions. and I'll look forward to receiving information.
So
Thank you so
pulled it.
much.
Will you move to approve it?
Yes, I'll move to approve that. Warrant Register dated January 18, 2022.
I'll second that.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock.
Aye.
Councilmember Ward.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Next item is item E, and that's approval of First Amendment to the Professional Consultant Services Agreement with CSG Consultants for Contract Planning Services.
Oh, thanks. I pulled that one as well. I'm just have a concern with this item for the contract planning services. I can't approve this tonight because it's making a modification, not only to increase the contract from 50,000 to 136,000, but it will eliminate the expiration date of the contract. And I just can't support open-ended contracts. They need to have a term end date. And this is a First Amendment. Should it expire, we just bring it back for a Second Amendment, a Third Amendment, a Fourth Amendment if needed. We've seen that multiple times with our agreement with Santa Margaret Water District. I think we're on the 15th Amendment there. But I just wanted to bring that up and have a vote on it because I can't support that. I don't think it's fiscally responsible.
City manager.
Yeah, so appreciate Councilmember Ferguson's comments. We've had discussions about eliminating expiration dates within contracts so that the services are provided until the end. And so pursuant to that council discussion, that's why you see there's not an expiration date on that. But obviously, this item is before the council and the council can decide what they want to do, if they want to ask staff to insert an expiration date or not.
So Mayor, this is item for continuation of planning services, which is very important to the people in the city who put in permits, requests for building in our city. So I will move the item for approval.
Motion Ward. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Under discussion.
Yes, please, sir.
The concern about our contracts having expiration dates is an issue that I brought up and have been concerned about. That concern relates to contracts where we're providing a specific service with a specific goal. When we're talking about planning, this isn't a function that can be identified and completed within a specific time frame.
Can I ask a follow-up to the city manager related to that then? So as I understand it, we have this contract service because we don't have the full staff to staff this ourselves. Is there an expectation that we are going to get fully staffed at some point so we won't need this, that we can, I know that you're working towards that.
So that's the goal, absolutely is the goal. However, and I will say that as soon as we do get staff, there's always the possibility of an employee deciding to leave for promotion, et cetera. And then we're back to a vacancy. And so these on-call services allow the flexibility for the staff to react in those vacancies that will occur. It's just a natural, thing that happens within all jobs. And so when that does happen, there's a contract to fall back on to fill that void of that lack of resource until it's filled again. Again, this is as needed. So if we don't need it, we don't use it. But when we need it, it's there for us to utilize.
I'll follow-up question if I could of the city
Please,
manager,
please.
following up on Chris's comment and question.
Eric, what would be a reasonable time frame within which you would expect to need these services, assuming you lose an employee every now and then? We're talking 6 months, a year, 2 years?
That's a tough question to answer. I would at a minimum would want, and I'm gonna ask for Cecilia or Adam to kind of to chime in because they're the ones that are dealing with this in the front lines. But I would say at least a year to 2 years for having as needed services would be appropriate.
Okay, I would, on this item, just in general, I could support the item with a 1 year, with a 1 year timeframe. And at the end of a year, if staffing hasn't leveled out, consider it for an extension. But
Yeah, and I come from the perspective of this is the direction that council gave the city manager. And so consequently, I'm going to support it as well.
Supported as the motion?
As the,
Okay.
yeah. your
All right.
motion.
And can you please explain or state the date that the council gave direction to eliminate termination dates on contracts?
I don't have that date in
Yeah,
front
I
of me,
wasn't
Councilman
here,
Ferguson.
and if I had missed one meeting recently, so I watched the meeting and I don't recall that ever happening. So I don't, was this something you all talked about outside of a meeting?
No, this was discussed at a council meeting.
Yeah, I don't believe so, but yeah, I totally support contract services. I've supported the ones for building, for engineering, for planning, but we meet twice a month. There's no reason we can't bring a contract back in a year from now and extend it again. So
Thank
I
you.
just can't.
So we have a
Mayor, call for the
we have
question.
a motion
I'm
by
allowed to speak,
Ward,
Kathleen.
a
Don't
second by
forget.
Duncan.
I
City
had the
Clerk,
floor.
please.
Councilmember Ferguson,
No.
Councilmember Noblock,
no,
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 3-2. The public hearing on the site-specific park master plan updates was previously continued. So the next item is item 9A, recycled water expansion update.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Dave Riebensdorf, Utilities Director. I do have a presentation. Here it comes. Next slide, please. At the city's council's request, staff is providing some background on recycled water, expansion opportunities, and potential next steps. Next slide. The city does have a long history of serving recycled water dating all the way back to the 1950s at the municipal golf course. In the 1990s, the city expanded its recycled water system. And between 2012 and 2016, the city embarked on a $25.1 million expansion that included 9 miles of pipelines and was funded through various grants and loans. And customers converted approximately 150 sites. Our customers paid for the conversion of recycled water of their private sites, and most of the funding that they obtained was from their local sources, from reserves, and also from grant funding from Metropolitan Water District. And the city also offered a 0% loan to pay for retrofit costs. The customer would pay the potable water rate, and the difference between potable and recycled would pay back the loan. We only had one customer that utilized the loan. Fortunately, MET's grant funding was substantial enough to pay for the majority of the cost. The retrofits and where we currently stand, we have about 1,400 acre feet per year that we serve to our customers. So that's about 15% of the city's overall water portfolio. Next slide. At the completion of the expansion project, Woodward Kern, who helped the city with its conversions, looked at other potential areas to convert within the city. And so 3 small projects were approved by the city council, and they've been delayed due to staffing issues associated with the pandemic. The design is nearly complete on those. Next slide. Other major areas for expansion include Forester Ranch. There's about 200 acre feet, Rancho San Clemente, Los Molinos, and Presidential Heights with approximately an additional 78 acre feet. Next slide. This table is really used to prioritize projects, and it provides associated demand with each expansion area, project costs, and then the approximate cost per acre foot. And you can see it ranges between 21,000 to 352,000 per acre foot. And compared to the 2012 to 2016 expansion, overall, that was about $36,000 per acre foot for that expansion. That included $8 million for treatment plant upgrades. Next slide. The council requested information on Rancho San Clemente expansion. Next slide. Woodward Kern updated some of their information, and 3 potential projects are shown here. And one of the challenges with Rancho San Clemente is the elevation. The majority of the elevation is above our recycled water reservoir, so additional pumping would be needed. Project A, shown in blue, is the most cost effective and would require a small pump station to serve 2 meters, preferably owned by Rancho San Clemente Master Association, an extension of a pipeline, and would serve about 14 acre feet. So that's one that could be considered in the near future. Project B, shown in red, can be served without pumping, but the cost is over $900,000 with a low demand of only 8 acre feet. So additional demands could be considered in Bellagio and Bella Vista to maybe make that segment a little more cost effective. And then Project C, that's a larger project shown in green. That's $6.3 million, includes about 2 miles of pipelines, and would require pumping potentially from Santa Margarita's Pico Recycle Water Pump Station near the intersection of La Plata and Pico for a total of 18 acre feet. Although there may be significantly more demand in the area, this is just Rancho San Clemente Master Association's demand. Some of the sub-associations may have demand that could connect to this pipeline to make that project more cost effective. With regards to the Santa Margarita pump station, the city is negotiating and evaluating capacity in the pump station, their seasonal Trampus reservoir, and a microfiltration and RO water quality project to improve the city's water quality so we can deliver water to Santa Margarita Water District. One of the challenges of the city's recycled water is higher in salt than Santa Margarita's TDS, and that is due to our coastal location. So we potentially have a great opportunity to cost share with Santa Margarita and improve our customers' water quality while reducing and offsetting costs by selling some of our unused water during non-peak periods. We can sell that back to Santa Margarita. And staff anticipates that a draft agreement coming before council by the end of the fiscal year. Next slide. So staff is recommending the council direct staff to coordinate with Rancho San Clemente Master Association and its sub-associations to look at potential expansion opportunities. And prior to embarking on any of these major recycled water expansions, to update our model to ensure that there's available water within the pipelines, and further define project costs, evaluate grants and loans if we have to go into a loan situation, which we would on one of these larger projects. Then what would be the impact to customer rates? So those things need to be evaluated. And then finalizing Santa Margarita agreement and evaluating grant funding. There's potential grant funding from the state and the federal government that can help reduce the overall cost effectiveness of, or improve the cost effectiveness of an expansion. And so with that, I'll entertain any questions of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 questions.
Certainly, please, go
The
ahead.
the first one is, I live in Rancho San Clemente. Am I allowed to participate in this discussion or any decision-making?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Councilmember Noblock. The swath of impact of this is so huge that it probably involves 10% of the city or more. And so you'd be affected like an average member of the public and could participate.
Thank you very much, Mr. City Attorney. Question, David, regarding the your expansion opportunities that you've listed. How do you prioritize which ones get in the queue? Which ones come first? Is it the list that you showed, is that pretty much your priority? your recommended priority?
That list is a great starting point. So with that list, we can look at what the most cost-effective areas are, what's the lowest hanging fruit. So that's a good starting point. And then if those areas potentially connect to other areas that maybe are less cost-effective, then those can be considered as well. And that's what we have done in the past.
Thank you. That's really all I have.
Any other council members? Yes.
I have a question. Mr. Riebensdorf, are we scheduled to do a future recycled water expansion study? Or are you asking for that because of the request from Rancho San Clemente?
No, it's something that we have scheduled, and the timing is excellent right now with all the potential grant funding. So it kind of went hand in hand. So I think this is a great opportunity right now.
Okay, I appreciate that. I wanted to make sure of that. So it's basically 3 separate projects, but number 3 or project C is quite expensive. And that would take more input and possibly more grant funding and pump station agreement with Rancho Santa Margarita Water. I'm sorry, Santa Margarita Water, not Rancho. And also other HOAs that might come in possibly. So it's a more of a larger discussion that you would be having while you talk to Rancho San Clemente.
Yes, absolutely. That way we can understand citywide what the next phases are. There may be phases that are cost effective today, and then some point in the future, 10 or 20 years, the city may want to consider expanding other areas of the city as it becomes more cost effective.
Okay, and one last question. For Santa Margarita Water, are we still treating their wastewater, helping them with that line? Has that been fixed?
Yes, we are still treating their wastewater currently. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, and the recycled water has been the holdup trying to get that figured out. So.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, one quick question. Dave, does Rancho Santa,
Sorry, Santa
Rancho San
Margarita
Clemente,
Water.
are they aware of the significant expense that they would be putting into these projects? Is that something that's been discussed with them, or is that something that you would let them know as you kind of move forward with the staff direction that you've requested?
No, based on this, Rancho San Clemente has requested the city staff meet with their master association. So this is the first rollout to the city council. So the next step would be to talk to Rancho San Clemente Master Association and its sub-associations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move that we accept the staff recommendation on this item.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson,
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock,
Aye.
Councilmember Ward,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan,
Aye.
and Mayor James.
Aye.
Carries 5-0. Item 9B, consideration of withdrawing from the Orange County Library System was continued earlier in the meeting. Item C is a code amendment for compensation for city council members.
Do we have any public speakers?
Yes, we have one, Amanda Kidney.
Hello. When preparing for this item, I spoke with the State Controller's Office, specifically the GCC, the Government Compensation in California, and reviewed the salaries throughout the years with him, with the supervisor. I also reviewed the August 8th, 2006 opinion of the Attorney General and also consulted with an attorney just to make sure what I was reading was okay. I do not support this increase of $880 per month per city council members. Firstly, the decision to increase the wages of city council wages does not take into serious consideration the discretion of previous city council members not to pursue a wage increase for previous years. So that should override using those years to calculate a future increase. We should respect their judgment for not having done so. Using the method that includes a 24-year time frame appears to give the impression that somehow it was an oversight by previous city council members. This matter was brought up to the attention of the city council on December 3rd, 2019 and February 4th, 2020 by a San Clemente resident who is also an accountant. At the December 3rd, 2019 city council meeting, he stated that we have multiple council members that don't have earned income outside of being on council. This increase and the city council pay should not be viewed as a supplement for outside income. Secondly, Government Code Section 36516, Section A4 allows for an adjustment that adjusted from the operative date of the last adjustment of the salary in effect when the ordinance or amendment is enacted. But the amount of the increase shall not exceed an amount equal to 5%. More importantly, the cited 2006 opinion of the California Statute Attorney General 89 Ops, Cal Attorney General 159, 161 to 162. The statute does authorize adjustments of less than 5%. The members of the dais can change the percentage rate to a lower amount, such as 0%, 1%, 2%, 3%. Well, 1% would give you 496. A 2% increase would be 592, 3%, 688. Of course, these are just some examples. The council could propose, 2.5, 1.25, any other figure up to 5% per year. Lastly, the simplest way for an increase is to apply the Government Code 36516, Section 2C, where in cities of over 50,000 up to and including 75,000 in population up to and including $500 per month. This is the standard and baseline method and should be given precedence over the alternative methods proposed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Council members.
Is there a report from the city attorney or do you want?
City attorney does have a report.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, there's really not much to add to our written report. The government code has a default level of compensation where cities don't specify what it ought to be. But a city council by ordinance like this one can set its own compensation. That compensation can be increased up to 5% non-compounding per calendar year for each year out that passes after it's set. This increase cannot take effect immediately, but it can apply to the new council, i.e. the 5 council members that are seated when those elected in 2020 are sworn in. So it could take effect at the first meeting following the November election of this year.
Thank you. Councilmember Nova, anything? Councilmember Ferguson.
Well, yes, I do have some comments, and I really appreciate Ms. Quintanilla's comments tonight and her own, and then capturing what our resident had stated at the record with his own research a couple of years ago. I agree with those comments, but I also don't feel comfortable, nor do I believe it's ethical to go back 24 years of council decisions that they had made at the time and reverse course on that. So if there's a council will to increase it to the, what was it, the 500, that's one thing, but to go back 24 years, I can't find that to be a reasonable thing to be doing. And then also, secondly, we have a new council coming on board in 9 months. So this will affect them. So I suggest that we let them make the decision because this will affect them and not us at all. We should be making decisions for a future council anyhow.
Present council can't make that decision. It would have to make the decision for the following.
Even a brand new council?
Yeah, it's frozen until the election after it's set.
So the council who comes on board in November
It could not.
and sworn in December can't make that decision?
No,
Okay.
they could, but it could not take effect until 2
They're
years
not.
after that.
2 years after?
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years after.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so 4 years for some, right?
It can take effect. So the current council can only set it for the next, it's confusing. The current council cannot set it for the 5 of you, but you can set it for the 5 who are in office following the November election.
Which would be the 2 years.
Right,
after.
right.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah, no.
So 2 seats have to change and then it can take.
Right.
Councilmember Ward,
Yeah, well, I'm not finished yet, please. Just one more.
oh, you're mumbling.
One
I-
more. Not mumbling, I'm getting information from the city attorney, but anyway, so yeah, so I guess that's where I stand, and I think I had one more question before you interrupted me, but
I apologize for interrupting you. I
that's
thought you were
okay.
finished.
So no, yeah, all right, I think we're good. I don't think any of us do this for the money. We do it for the passion and commitment to serve, so thank
Councilmember
you.
Ward.
So I will echo some of that, but what I would say is we can't go back and use 24 years when prior city councils did not elect to change it. So I think it's improper to use 24 years in that formula, especially when a city council, it came up a few years ago and we voted not to take it up. So that 24 years is not a correct formula that we should be using. It doesn't reflect council direction. Also, what I would say is,
May I say something?
yes,
This council is not locked in to decisions other councils have made.
I agree, but I'm saying we chose not to, and you want to go back 24 years and use it as a formula when council specifically chose not to increase it.
I will again say, council is not locked into those
I
decisions.
agree. I agree.
But
I'm
you-
just saying
but you
ethically.
are saying,
No, that's my opinion.
okay,
That's my opinion. So, but what I will say is that 3 of the majority of this council are up for reelection, and we are all eligible to run again. So if we voted on it tonight, which I don't think ethically we can do, we are essentially giving ourselves a raise. And that is what the councils would never do. It always had to be outgoing council that we waited for that would maybe want to make this motion and vote for it. I disagree with the word. It came in as pay for the city council, and I would interject that it was always considered like a stipend. It even says a monthly stipend in here. And also what we are paid is tied to the planning commission. And this ordinance separates that and gives the council a raise, but doesn't take into account that the planning commission is half of what we make. That's how we've always come up with our fees. So that's part of a
Where
bigger
is that
conversation.
written?
It's in a different ordinance that was not in here tonight, and I couldn't get it to print before I came. So I'm sorry about that.
okay.
But it is tied, they make half of what we make.
So
So I'm not going to be able to support it. I think it's unethical for 3 of us to be voting on giving ourselves a raise for next year. I do appreciate what you're trying to do. If you wanted to limit it to 5% based on starting with what we have right now and not going back 24 years, I might consider it. But I'm gonna have to vote no, because I can't give myself a raise if I'm possibly on the council
Councilmember
next year.
Dunn.
Yeah, I get that point, except for we're the only ones who can give ourselves a raise. So under that logic, then it just would never happen.
Well, that might be why it hasn't happened, but
Well,
perception is a big part of what we do. And the perception of going back 24 years and giving ourselves a big raise like that will not be met.
yeah,
Well, and anyone running for office again, it will be a noose around your neck.
I totally respect that point, but I don't make any decisions by perception. I make them what I think is the best for the city. And even with the 24 years, it's still an absolute pittance, frankly, considering the commitment and the time that we put in. I think it's absolutely fair to give us the full amount. It would still be not even close to enough to probably even pay for our commuting costs and the extra time that we spend getting reports and meetings. I think it would encourage more diversity on the council because you would have other folks who may not have the ability to do it. They would have at least some amount of the stipend to help them be able to be in a position to run and step away from some other commitments, which they would have to do, frankly, to do this. So I absolutely think it's a good idea, and I completely support it. And I understand that that's a difficult decision for a lot of council to make, but it's the right decision. So that's the decision I would make.
You know, I look at what what our council pay is versus other cities in Orange County of our size throughout the state. And we're pretty much at the bottom. My intent to bring it up was just to bring us to some level of equity with other cities of our size. $860 would equate to just about $10,000 a year. That's not going to make or break any of us. I do resent ethics being brought into this, though. I know there's.
You know what?
You said it.
I did say it, and it's because prior council discussions, we talked about ethics and why we would not
Okay.
give ourselves a raise. So
Okay.
I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
It's prior discussions.
So I'm looking for a motion.
Okay, well, I move that we introduce ordinance number 1726 entitled an ordinance of the City Council of the City of San Clemente, California, amending section 2.04.040 of the San Clemente Municipal Code relating to compensation for city council members.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Oh, before I vote, I just want to let Councilmember Duncan know that if you are concerned about commuting costs, you can do mileage reimbursement with the city. That's still allowed, despite that having a stipend as well. I'm a no.
Councilmember Noblock.
No.
Councilmember Ward.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan.
Aye.
Mayor James.
Aye.
Motion fails 2-3. Next item on the agenda is oral communications part 2, and we do have some costs. First speaker will be Marjorie Sosa, followed by William B. Jacob, I think, followed by Stephen Tribuker, followed by Linda Williams.
I'm speaking on, can you hear me? I'm speaking under the oral communications because I did not realize it was going to be tabled, but I'm speaking to the 9B that was tabled. And I am very much opposed to leaving the Orange County Public Library. I read all of this analysis, the 7 pages that I got, and a lot of things were not there that I thought would help me to make a decision. First of all, I don't know what the rationale is behind this. I think there must be some kind of an agenda or rationale for doing this. And I did not see, I mean, the amount of money that we pay and why we're a donor. I don't know how that was decided that we become a donor. It says donor if you commit more, and why we are paying more than, say, for example, it says that it's because you're able to pay it. It's based upon the ability to pay. And why are we paying more than Laguna Beach, for example? And when was that 5-0 vote taken? Was that at that March meeting or November meeting? There on page 5, it says that there was a vote taken of 5-0 to approve staff to provide direction on the process to withdraw from the county library system. I'm hoping that's just to investigate it, not to actually tell them that you want to do it. And I use the library a lot. In fact, right now I have 8 books out of the library. And I just went to the flap of the book and I added up with my computer how much it would have cost me to buy those books at retail. Of course, you can get it better at Amazon, and it would be $187.99. I think that we get a lot of bang for our buck from the library. There are a lot of things that they do. One of the best things I think is their GED exams that they teach people so that they can get a high school education, and all the things that they do for children, the after school programs and so forth. So I don't see a reason for doing it. I think what you need to do is to talk to the libraries, the 10 cities that apparently are not using the OCPL, and why they are doing it and how much it's costing them. I'm also a member of the Mission Viejo Library, and occasionally I go there if I can't get a book out of our library, or if I happen to be passing by and they do not use the interlibrary loan. It's a tremendous convenience. And I think that we should do everything that we can to stay within that program. It has been around for a long time. And I think if we leave it, you will see this library being boarded up in a few years. I mean, it's just, we don't have the money to actually get the materials that we get through the OCPL.
Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is William Jacobs, and I too expected to be speaking or hearing the tabled motion. I didn't hear. The one thing I would really like to know is what is the rationale, I'm echoing her, what is the rationale for doing this? I don't know if any of you use the library, but a large number of us do. I grew up in the library, literally, in the summers when I was a kid. I would spend the summers in the cool library reading books. And as a result of that, I'm a pretty good writer, which is pretty hard to find. I think the children coming up now who use it, maybe they use it for the computers, maybe they use it for books that they can get and study, whatever the purpose that they have, it should be maintained. What you have now, being part of a larger system, is access to much more than anything else that you could do on your own. You're not going to make this library grow. You're not going to have the access to the same books that you could have. Never mind the money. It's books. She spent $100, $800, or $100, whatever it is to get these books out. Maybe I'll find it someplace else, get it at a used bookstore, or not get it at all. You can't replace that. You have access to whatever you are paying. You have access to every other library in Orange County, except for Newport Beach, which is standalone, and Mission Viejo, which is standalone. And they have far more extensive collections than what you have here. I currently have 4 books out, 3 of them circulating from the rest of the county, because there's nothing, inside there's nothing inside this library that will cover what my needs were. I really want to know what the rationale is. How do you expect to replace it? She's expecting this to be, go the way of dust in a couple of years. Is that your plan? Be forward with it. Say you want to kill the library system, because that's what you're doing if you go through with this. You will not have access to the materials that we need. I think the speaker after me will tell you that not only has he done this, we've gone out to other libraries to get materials that were unavailable through the Orange County Library. Sometimes the librarians would help us. Sometimes it's difficult to do. Going through university libraries you don't have access to. We could drive around and do research at every particular one, but it's a tremendous resource for this town to have access to everything that the county has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, good evening. I'm Steve Tribuker, and I have the same concerns about the effects of withdrawing from the Orange County Public Library system. I also am an avid reader. I'm always here. I take books out all the time. But I'd like to have a different slant on my discussion here. One benefit of the pandemic for me and for many others is I've gotten to spend a lot more time reading and spending time in nature, much of it on our wonderful ridge trails here in San Clemente. And during this time, I've gotten to see nature through the seasons. I've seen coveys of quail raise generations of babies. I've had close encounters with coyotes, rattlesnakes, and my favorite, the great horned owls that we have here in town, and my least favorite, skunks, who like to come right up to my feet when I am trying to take a picture of the sunrise from the ridge trail. But during this time, I wanted to learn a lot more about all these features of nature. How do the animals live? How do they reproduce? What do they eat? And coming to the library is where I could learn all of that. But if I was limited to what's only on the shelves in the building next door, it would be a great limitation. I would miss out on something like Coyote America by Dan Flores, which is a wonderful book. I'd be cut off from that book, limited here. But this is not just about me, a wannabe naturalist perhaps, but think about a child learning to read, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, that comes to this library and falls in love with Nancy Drew or Hardy Boy books and cleans out the shelves of however many there are here. But they want to devour more, but they're cut off from all these books because they can't borrow them from other libraries in the system. So I would hope that you'd give a lot of consideration to preserving what the purpose of the library is, and that is access to literature, books, newspapers, and things in a quantity and availability that would be much larger than can be done right here locally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Linda Williams. I also wanted to talk about the library. I echo again all the same thoughts, especially the first speaker who talked about why we're doing this, that I don't understand. My neighbors are the ones that brought it to my attention that this was happening. And one point would be the vast resources that we get by being part of a larger system. You can equate that exactly to the sheriff's department. Because we are accessing the Orange County Sheriff's Department, we have access to the bomb squad, to the SWAT team, to Harbor Patrol, to all about the helicopters, all of that stuff that we couldn't have access to if we were just a local police department. We wouldn't have those resources. Same thing with the library. We wouldn't have all the access to it. I actually am an audio reader as well as a Kindle reader. And so I know I can get all of those things. I don't even go into the library. Went in there once and got my library card, and but I can just from home, I can get all of that stuff and walk my dogs and listen to books and all that kind of stuff. And so I love having all the resources. And I know I don't use all the resources, but I love having the opportunity for all my neighbors, for my friends, for the children in our schools, all those people to have those access to those resources. And I think that's very important. But I echo everything else that everybody else says. And my concern is that with some of the stuff that's going on in our city through the pandemic and through this Second Amendment city that we've become, that one of the reasons you want to take it in and bring it in just to the city is so that you can ban books. Whether or not that's where you're going with that, I'm just saying, when you get small things start happening. I don't want to be part of a small city. Thank you.
That's all the speakers. So moving on to reports, city manager.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. Really quick, want to report out a few city manager approved contracts. O'Connell Engineering for $46,700 for a sanitary sewer line repair. Four Leaf, a professional consultant service for contract permit technician for $50,000. Environmental compliance experts, a professional services agreement for as needed regulatory compliance consulting services for $9,900. Environmental compliance experts for professional consultant services for hazardous materials business plan and preparation and submission for the wastewater treatment, $2,835. A&B consulting engineers for professional services agreement for structural engineering services for $5,800. And public safety consulting, independent administrative investigations for $25,000. I also want to quickly give a shout out to the Beaches Park and Recreation Division. This weekend, we did the fishing derby at the end of the pier. It was a huge success, as it had been the previous years as well, with the kids coming out, getting an opportunity to fish and work outside. That was a great success. And I want to give a shout out to Samantha Wiley and her team in Beaches Park and Recreation. And the other shout out I want to give is to OCSD. As you were made aware, time flies. I want to say it was this week we had a number of vehicles on Del Mar, Ola Vista, and Seville that were vandalized and their tires were slashed. I think the last count was 23. Maybe it's grown. It's gone up, so it's higher than 23, but through amazing investigative work and the deputies, they were able to arrest the suspect, and that person is in custody and is being processed appropriately. And so kudos to them for getting that individual, and for all the residents who were inconvenienced. I can't imagine what they went through to having to wake up with vehicles slashed, but appreciate their participation with OCSD to help solve this crime. And that's all I have to report.
You know, city manager, Captain Benfield's over there with two of his deputies. It was amazing investigative work, detective work on the part of OCSD. And Captain Benfield, thank you for you and your team. At least the victims of that know that individual, that perpetrator, has been arrested and now is in custody, I assume still. But you all did a great job, and please pass on our thank you to them. And the city manager will get with you on probably some sort of something special we're gonna do with your team that was involved in that. So thank you, guys.
That's all I have to report. Thank you.
City manager, I have a question for you. Please brief the council and the members of the public. Where do we stand with our new chambers?
So the new council chambers that the council awarded a contract to, we began construction, I want to say upwards of a month ago. It'll be located on our second floor of our city hall next to the police substation. I know that they're working nights right now just so they don't disrupt staff and OCSD. From my last report out from the project manager, they are moving very, very efficiently and effectively. We have a good contractor, and the anticipated completion date is June, early July.
Very good.
Okay. Next item, city attorney.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I just wanted to take a quick minute. First, I want to show you a couple of pictures. Just couldn't resist taking this time to acknowledge this. 2 years ago today, I was in this classroom in Kharkiv, Ukraine, as a volunteer, visiting professor, teaching American civics and American legal systems to these law students, and want to acknowledge them tonight. They were so enthused to learn about our world, about the rule of law, about AB 1234, government ethics, and we're very, very dedicated and committed to bringing them to pass in their country. So just hate to imagine where these kids are tonight, and appreciated the moment of silence earlier in their acknowledgement. Thank you.
Council members.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Thanks. I wanted to propose to council to invite Patricia Wenskunis. She's the founder of Crime Survivors, and to come and speak at our meeting.
You want a motion? You're gonna make a motion?
I'm going to make a motion.
I'll
to-
second that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. So I'll go ahead and provide some information to the city clerk and reach out to Patricia.
And do we need a third? So there's some staff time?
It's just a special
good?
presentation.
You
We're
good?
good. Yeah. 10
Okay, very good.
Thank you very much. That's all I have. Thanks.
Councilmember Novak.
A couple of things. Number one, some time ago, I brought up the topic of desalination, and the South Coast Water District is currently planning a desalination project. They're looking for partnership. I know we've been noodling that around in-house, and what I'd like to do would be to invite, if it's acceptable to this council, invite a representative or a couple presentation, if you will, from the district regarding the desalination facility that they'd like our involvement in. So
I'll second that.
do we need a third for?
Sure,
Staff
I'm
report?
I'm fine with that.
Okay, thank you.
You know, just when we start having short meetings, now we're
I
gonna start
know.
having presentations.
This
Okay?
is a big issue. This
I
is.
know. I'm good with that.
Yeah. The second thing I have, Mr. Mayor, is I'd like to ask our staff if they would to put together a report regarding streamlining our permitting process. I think there's some things we can do locally that the staff can do without major changes that might streamline that process. I'd like them, if it's appropriate, to report back to our council in the next month or so. No super urgency, but at a convenient time to discuss possible streamlining mechanisms.
Councilmember, I am so supportive of that. It's a bee under my bonnet.
Okay, then I guess we would need three for a staff report.
I'll be the third.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question on that quickly of the city manager? Isn't that a process that staff is already doing? And we undertook it, I know, 2 years ago, but I thought that this has already come up with this council and staff was looking into that.
So that's accurate. You know, that's what generated the Permit Streaming Act and so forth and other types of things. I think, and through my briefings with Councilmember Noblock, I think that there's some things that staff can bring forward to the council as it relates to code modifications to make things a little bit easier on the applicants for discretionary items. And so I think that's where staff is supportive of those codes. It's just one of those things. It's a big rock, and staff have a lot of big rocks in front of them, but I think they'd be welcome to bring that to the council and have that discussion.
So I'll comment on that. Once there's a perception of something, it's hard to get beyond that perception. And whether things are perception or reality are kind of in the eyes of the beholder. But at this point in time, there's still a perception that it's difficult to get things through the city from the permitting process. And also the other perception is that we're more difficult than any other city in Orange County. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I think we have to take the lead. I think council needs to take the bull by the horns. I appreciate council members Knobloch's suggestion here. We continue to need to look. I don't think we can look at it too much.
No, and if I may, Mayor, I think one of the things, and San Clemente prides itself on its architectural standards, that is one monkey on our back that we can't get rid of. And we have to obviously vet those applications to ensure that they comply with that. But I also think there's ways that we can look at making things a little bit easier, because with that monkey on our back, it makes that just all that more difficult for the applicant to navigate when other cities don't have those architectural standards that they value. And so I think it's a great discussion, and it's always worthy to revisit to ensure that we're doing everything we can.
I come from the perspective of how do we maintain the essence of San Clemente architecturally? How do we do that while still building revenue? And because we're gonna have to build revenue. We're going into a 10-12% inflation period. We have to be able to be business friendly, but at the same time, we don't want to sell out like other cities very close to us. And so I think it's a great discussion, and as long as we all keep our heads about it, and I think we can have great discussion.
And and I completely agree with you. Staff is very, very attuned to the quality of life that San Clemente expects as it relates to that architectural thing. So when we come back to you, that will always be in the back of our mind, ensuring that's number one, but also to your point, and making it easy for the customers.
Can I ask for one thing in that staff report, that it's clear what design guidelines or what codes you are modifying?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank the city manager for coordinating a meeting for me and Councilmember Knobloch to sit down with the various staff members involved in permitting as well. So that was very productive to see how far we've come. Thank you.
Thank you.
What, I have one last item, if I
Please.
could. Earlier this evening during the public comments, comments were made regarding insurance and the difficulty our citizens have with the urban canyons and the fire insurance and the rates. I recall about a month ago, this item was brought up, and we discussed the possibility of looking into some legislation from our state senator or assemblyman regarding prohibition of redlining urban canyon insurance rates, either redlining by cancellation or significantly increased rates. I don't know if anything has been done in that area. Any communications with our legislators along those lines?
Not to that level, no, sir.
I think, I don't know how we do this as a council, or maybe just individually approaching our legislators and see if they'd be willing to consider legislation like that, put together a bill. So I just want to bring it up for discussion. I personally will make a call to a couple of our legislators and see if they're willing to draft a bill or address this issue somehow. Needs to be addressed somehow.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Ward.
No, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Just quickly picking up on the fire thing, as a reminder to the city manager, we did discuss the fire, I think maybe when it was brought up before, and I think we were going to get a report from OCFA about that, right? So just a reminder there.
There is a future presentation by the fire prevention unit to come to the council to have that discussion. And what we'll do based on the discussion that we've had today, we'll make sure that city staff are also prepared to participate in some of that discussion as it relates to the previously mentioned hazardous mitigation plan, et cetera.
Right.
So we'll tag team with those
Okay.
on that presentation.
Okay, yeah, that was my point, that maybe you can sort of link those up. And yeah, because in addition to the insurance issues and just the danger issues, wildfires, one of the biggest pollution issues too. So, I mean, we want to do whatever we can to mitigate that. The only other thing I have is I'm on the songs citizen engagement panel. There's been a recent move to open up what's called, I think it's interim storage. That would mean moving stored nuclear fuel from nuclear generating sites to an interim location in another place. It's consent based, so they're putting out a request for information about how they should structure that reach out to communities who may be willing to accept nuclear or spent fuel in order to get some economic benefits. Other cities have started doing resolutions that emphasize that we don't want that storage. We don't want an interim facility at the current nuclear generating station. I know we're that. We don't want songs to become an interim storage location by default or otherwise. I know Del Mar is one, so I'd ask for support to have staff look at a resolution that makes very clear that San Clemente does not and will not agree to have temporary storage of nuclear spent fuel at the current songs location, and that we do support efforts to move it to other locations outside of our area. We never consented to have it be stored here, and we shouldn't be subject to that. I actually think that may be our biggest danger, and I'm wondering if there's support to have staff look at doing a resolution. I know, again, Del Mar has one. I think ours doesn't need to be as extensive as that, but at least it might get the point across that we don't stand for that.
City Manager, can you also check whether we already have that? Because I think we've already voted for their interim consent-based storage, but I could be wrong.
Nothing wrong with the updated one.
Yeah,
More, recent, yeah.
This is a new development, so at least if we do have something, I want to make sure it addresses this exact point that they're looking for right now, and makes very clear that when they go to look at how they're going to move this, it's not, it's got to be moved somewhere else, and it's not going to stay here. Do we have support for that? Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
Just want to make sure we have, I just need to see 3 heads nod for support so we can do a report.
As long as you tie it into anything else that we've
Well,
already
if we have
done.
any previous resolutions, we'll include those as well as an updated one for the council to deliberate on.
Okay, so I have a couple things. One I'm gonna is kind of delicate, but I think it needs to be addressed. Nothing with the dais here, don't worry. So the previous edition of San Clemente Times talked about the potential of a 62-foot hotel at the outlets. That has created a wildfire of calls to me and emails. Some of those emails the whole council has received. Many was just sent to me. I'm going to ask if it's appropriate, city manager. It doesn't appear there's been any movement by Mr. Craig on that hotel for 2 years. Could we reach out to Craig Realty, and I would like to be able to respond to these emails. Yes, there's still an intent to do 62 feet, or no, there's only an intent to go to the limit, our current limit of 45 feet, or maybe nothing's going to happen in the foreseeable future. But there's a lot of people with views that are very concerned about those views. And I think the city needs to have some conversation with Mr. Craig or his representative on where this is going. Can we do that?
That's
Is that
absolutely,
appropriate?
that's absolutely appropriate, just to call the applicant, just a status check, and the applicant can give us an update, or they can choose not to, or they can let us know that they don't know what they're going to do, but we can definitely follow up. We too have been receiving calls and emails with regards to concerns, as just you alluded to.
Mayor, can I add to that?
Yes, please.
Possibly, that council also gets an update on phase 2. There are things that are just outstanding, and we don't know exactly what's going on, but it is concerning when we see something in the paper and it's being given out, and then we all get lit up over it. If there isn't anything happening, we should know that.
Not a problem.
And so should the public.
So, recently, our city lost the king of sports fishing, Mr. Don Hanson. At the Chamber of Commerce lunch the other day, I spoke with his daughter, Donna. And I think it would be appropriate for the city to place a bench in his honor at the pier where his business started. And I think it'd mean a lot to the city. I think it'd mean a lot to the Hanson family. Can I get support on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
To look into it, right? Because we can't vote on it tonight.
No, we can't vote on, but
Right.
we
It's just to bring it
Bring it
forward
back.
So
to consider.
if I may clarify, I see 3 heads nodding in support. So what staff could do is come back with some options for the council to deliberate on as it relates to a bench on the pier. And that's not a problem.
Right. I will also talk very briefly about the library situation, because I was the one that brought, the library thing is not about banning books. I don't know where that came from. It's solely financial in nature right now. The city pays $400,000 more to the library system than it costs to run our library. I'm not looking to have that reduced, the amount we pay reduced, but I do think all $400,000 needs to come back to our city. And so that's my motivation. I understand the advantage more now than ever, and speaking with people of the advantage of being in a larger system. I got it. I hear you. But this is the reason why we propose these things, and we have public comments, and this is the reason why all council members are the public is able to access them and talk about it. But it is about, for me, still, it is about the $400,000 that our taxpayers pay into the system that goes somewhere else in the county, and I oppose that. So that will be coming back and be subject to public comment in the future as well. What else do I have? I have one last thing. On March 12th, Governor Newsom is going to lift the ban on masks for students in schools. But it's still going to be up to individual school districts on whether those masks will be, not ban on masks, excuse me, the requirement for masks in schools. And he's going to lift that requirement, but it's still going to be up to individual school districts. And I hope this council is willing to, at our March 15th meeting, to speak with one voice to CUSD about our students in San Clemente who should not be subject to masks going in the future. The governor's lifting that requirement, and I certainly hope Capistrano Unified School Districts, I don't care what they do in the rest of the school district, but here in San Clemente, those students should not be required to wear masks.
Are you recommending a resolution in opposition to mask or in support of the governor's lifting?
Let's see what happens on March 12th. We're back here on March 15th. But I think it's something needs to be talked about. It's the healthiest portion of our society, and they're the ones who suffered the most in the past 2 years.
And least at risk.
At least at risk.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
I'll make a motion that we
Wait,
adjourn.
there's
to our
also
next regular council meeting.
council subcommittee updates.
Only if
is-
there's a
is added.
subcommittee update.
Well,
you have
I
one?
just have a quick one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On the subcommittee on, is it on massage parlors or? It
Yeah.
sounds bad. On human trafficking. we've been working with the Public Safety Committee, the mayor and I, as well as I-5 Freedom Network, which is a anti-human trafficking organization that is located in San Clemente and is a pride of San Clemente that's here, to move forward to increase our enforcement on illicit massage parlors, where the victims really are the people that are being trafficked. We have moved that forward, and as I understand it, the Public Safety Committee is working with I-5 Freedom Network, and they're going to have specific proposals that they're going to propose out of the Public Safety Committee to council on that will increase our enforcement and also public awareness. So we look forward to that. I think everybody can look forward to that coming. We can make some progress in this area. That was it.
Make a motion then, unless there's anything else, that we adjourn our meeting to the next regular council meeting scheduled March 15th, 2022. Closed session item to begin to be considered at 5 p.m. and the regular business meeting commencing at 6 p.m. at that date, meeting here at the community center located 110 North Cali Seville, San Clemente.
Second.
Councilmember Ferguson.
Aye.
Councilmember Noblock. Councilmember Ward.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Duncan
Aye.
and Mayor James.
And at 8:45, I'm a big aye.
7:45.
7:45. 7:45.
Even
Thank you.
better.
Sorry, 7:45.
It's